Okay, hello everybody. Today I'm going to talk about three uh, very interesting road trips that I was on, or three trips that are not all road trips that I was on that I kind of found interesting. And I went to all three of these for free. And let me just set the scene a little bit. So this started back in 2023, where me and five more people from my school uh were just selected for whatever reason, that okay, yeah, you guys get to go to Italy for free for 5 days to some kind of like youth conference. And so uh I was selected, and two more girls from my class and one girl from the other class and two more guys from the other class, right? And we were invited to some kind of youth conference that a bunch of people also from our city, and mostly older people who go to college, and so no, older people who are like who go to college, or students, basically college students, university students rather. And we had only, out of the 10 or so other people that went with us, we'd only known we'd only met about two of these before. And at first we were told that, yeah, you guys are gonna go on this road trip, or not road trip, rather. We were told that we were gonna go by train, presumably through Trieste or Udine, and then somehow get to Bologna, which is where we're going. We're going to Bologna. And on this trip, uh, a lot of interesting things happened. So, we started. Even before we started, my dad took me to the place where we were supposed to meet. We went by taxi. And even before the journey actually started, I realized that, oh yeah, wait, where's my phone? And it turns out I forgot my phone in the taxi. So someone had to call my phone. The taxi driver thankfully picked up. I got my phone back. All was well. It was okay. And then we actually started our trip. Um, and nothing really too interesting happened, but we first stopped on the border, or right before the border in Nova Gorica, and we're like, "Yo, you guys want to go to the bathroom?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I kind of need to go." So you'd think that we would go to a gas station, right? Well, that's what you would think, except that's not what we did, because we did not go to a gas station. We went to a random high school that one of the people in the bus had previously gone to, and we were just allowed in there for some reason. That was the first time I'd ever been in that city ever. I've only been there one more time, which was this year. So yeah, that was one thing that happened. And then continuing on the way, I remember that we went by bus, not by train. And we were like in this tiny minibus that was more of a van than a bus, and it was a little packed, but it wasn't anything too interesting. It wasn't too much. We were fine, and it was an interesting experience in the Italian flatlands, where it's like as if in your it kind of genuinely looks like you're in a Minecraft super flat world, the Po Valley, right? And it's not like this is the first time that this has ever happened to me, that I've been in a place that looks like the Minecraft super flat. I've been to Slavonia before, a lot of times actually. But it was really funny seeing that, and also the diesel prices be like 190 euros per liter, um, which was crazy and still is crazy to me, because here diesel costs like 145 or something. Anyway, yeah. Also, obviously, goes without saying that pretty much every country I've ever been to, except for specifically Czechia and Croatia, everything at the gas station is really expensive, except in Czechia and Croatia. And and even for these two, it's like specifically the food that you buy isn't super expensive, but like if you try to buy a Coke, it gets expensive. I don't know. Anyway, Uh, we eventually got there, and nothing too interesting happened. And the way back wasn't very significant. I don't think anything really interesting happened going there. Uh, and yeah, we eventually got back home. We were fine. The trip lasted like 5 days total, and this was like the least crazy of these trips. And at that point, that wasn't the longest road trip I'd ever been on. Not even close, right? Like I'd been on 8 hour long road trips to Croatia and Serbia, and I mean technically I'd gone to a 2 week road trip through Bosnia, also in 2023. But like we stopped every day. The longest we'd actually drove in one piece. One piece is real. In One Piece was like maybe 3 hours, and even that's maybe more than what actually happened. So yeah. Anyway, so we'd visited Bologna. We had a little conference there. It was interesting. It was a very nice city. I like that. I like the city a lot. It was just sad that like considering we were in Italy, the food that they gave us was horrible, and I expected a lot better. Anyway, because for some reason it was supposed to be vegetarian. Like the food that they gave us was mandated to be vegetarian for no apparent reason, and yeah, that happened. Anyway, so the next trip we went on was to Krakow. Krakow, the city in Poland. I believe. I will check this right now, but I believe it is the second largest city in Poland. Let me just check this because I'm not 100% sure. Anyway, we started the journey also in our city. Oh my god, sorry about that. The trolley problem indeed. We started a trip as in the same city towards the same places. Nothing too interesting happened in Slovenia, except for the fact that right before the border. So okay, imagine this, right? You're on a road trip that the driving itself is like 10 hours long, right? So you would think that maybe you would have only one driver, or that the driver would change like halfway through. But you'd be wrong in saying that because an hour and a half into the road trip, so right before the Austrian border, we went through from Slovenia to Poland through Austria and Czechia. Uh, and right before the Austrian border, we just switched drivers, and I still don't know why. Why specifically there? Because yeah, okay. Uh, by the way, Krakow is in fact the second largest city in Poland, and on the way there, we what was I saying? Okay, so the driver randomly changed like an hour in, and then we had same one for the rest of the trip. And when we went back home, it was the same driver for the whole trip. It was also the same minibus that we were in. Anyway, then we get through Austria. There weren't too many problems. We saw Vienna as per usual. I've also been to Bratislava this year, so I saw Vienna. I drove past Vienna as well this year, and eventually we got to the Czech border. I was kind of surprised by the fact that the driver didn't just buy an e-vignette, which would be much easier than going through the hassle of buying one there, and also probably more expensive. But yeah, and then we eventually got to Krakow, and I was appalled to see that Polish food. Okay, no offense if you're Polish, but Polish food is kind of ass. I just it's just boring. Sorry, like it's just pierogi, like salty pierogi. Just they just don't do it for me. They're just not good for me. Not for me. They're not good to me. I don't like them. Okay. I kind of liked the ones that were like with strawberries for some reason. Like I like those, but I didn't like the ones with meat. They just weren't good. Anyway, I bought some like I had some chicken broth, there, which was good, which is always good to see in an ex Austro-Hungarian place or ex Yugoslavia as well. Pretty much, broth is peak. Chicken soup with or beef soup even better with noodles, absolutely peak. If you're ever in like Central Europe or the Balkans, you should absolutely try this. Uh, I remember eating that. The rest of the trip was just in Krakow was like it was okay, right? I wasn't like super surprised or anything. It was just really really cold because this was in March of 2024, and I really wasn't used to being I was not used to being that cold at that point because in Slovenia we had the average temperatures around 10 degrees in during the day. There they didn't have 10 degrees, they had 3 degrees because Poland is way further up north, right? And yeah, that was cool. The best part of this trip was probably the trains in Poland. They were so nice. And Żabka supremacy. Okay, I love Żabka. And yeah, that was nice. We went to Auschwitz. Anyway, that was where the train took us. The trains were really nice though, and the Żabka also. I love Żabka. I bought like the little cigar things, like the chocolate cigarettes. They're not really chocolate cigarettes, and they're not allowed to be called chocolate cigarettes, but we've all had them like in our mouths, right? Like, we've all done that before. And at some point, we just had to go back home, right? Obviously, because we were scheduled to be there forever. Thank God. No offense if you're Polish. But Poland mentioned, by the way. And we ended up, yeah, going home, obviously. And this is uh something I really want to talk about, right? So we're on the way home, and while we're on the way, right, like we're at the Czech-Austrian border, so we're still in Czechia, at the last gas station before we enter Austria. And while we're there, I come up with an ingenious plan. We were supposed to be leaving the gas station around 2 minutes, and like I realized at that point that wait, I'm hungry. So naturally, what I do is I find 50 Czech crowns in my pocket. And I look around myself. I see that there is a sign that says Ulasheva Polivka. 50 crowns. So I obviously went ahead and bought the goulash soup for 50 crowns. By the way, 50 crowns is like €2 or like $2.50. So that's like a crazy good deal. And it was really good. It was really good too. Okay, I'm not gonna. That it was very very good. At that point, that was the greatest financial investment I'd ever made in my whole life. I'm so happy I did that. Okay. Then okay, so we continue our trip, right? At this point, we're in Austria, and while we're in Austria, we stop at a gas station, as you do, and we one guy wants to buy like a sandwich because he's hungry, and he asks the guy behind the counter, "Wait, do you speak English?" And he's like, not really, bro. Like, no, no, no." And the guy that wanted the sandwich couldn't really speak German. And then at some point they realized that they both spoke Serbo-Croatian because the guy that wanted the sandwich was like a Croat partially, and the other guy was a Serb. So they just talked like normal, like in their native languages, and they ended up figuring everything out, and that was really funny just seeing like. I mean that's always funny when you go to like Austria or Germany and you find someone that also speaks your language. And yeah, he ate. It was good, and we continued our journey. We were supposed to arrive back home by 12 a.m. We weren't even in Slovenia by 12 a.m. and it took us around an hour and a half to get home. But we got home eventually. We were okay. I got home into this bed at like 2 in the morning. I fell asleep and I missed the competition I had the next day in Croatia because I just arrived from Poland after 10 hours of traveling, so I couldn't go, which is fair enough, right? I went this year to that competition. It was kind of nice. Anyway, uh, so we were told at both of these conferences that some of us would get to go to Brussels in May or June of 2024, and we were supposed to go in May initially. However, uh, European Parliament elections were at the start of June. Uh, so it'd be kind of stupid if we went and lobbied to a European Parliament, to an MEP, to a member of European Parliament, if and they just got like elected out of office a week later. That would be kind of dumb. So we made sure to go after the election, and the MEP we were planning to talk to. He's from Austria. He is from the Socialist Party of Austria. Let me just find what I'll find what his name is. Anyway, so we were supposed to go talk to him, and this time we were also told that we would go by train, but this time we actually went by train. Uh, and we started a train. We started a trip by going to Villach in Austria, and we immediately switched to a train that goes to Salzburg, and that was a high speed train with like really really nice views of the Austrian Alps, and that was, I think, very interesting to see. Uh, let me just okay. So I don't know if I'm gonna find it right now. We got to see the Austrian Alps. That was very cool. And then we got onto a train from Salzburg. So this is still in Austria, and we were supposed to go to Belgium through a train that will go to Frankfurt, which is in like closer to the German border. No, not the German, to the French and Luxembourg and Belgium border, right? So we got on the train. And that train lasted like 5.5 hours. It was really hot. This was during the Euros in Germany. And it was just like horrible. It was really crowded. And at some point during this journey, we realize that, oh wait, maybe we need to fulfill our physiological needs, if I do say so myself. And we realized that the that the good old water closets in our wagons, in our cars, were not currently in operation. So naturally, we decide to go a couple of cars back in front and find that there is none of them that are in operation either. Until eventually, someone, I think I actually found this out, I'm not 100% sure, that the one in first class, so the one in economy, no, not in economy, in business class, actually was operational. And but the train was really really crowded, really really hot. It was really uncomfortable going through it. So we devised a plan. During our route, we realized there would be a station where we would be stopped for 1 or 2 minutes in Heidelberg, which is in that whole North Rhine Westphalia place where there's a lot of cities, one next to the other. Actually, that might not be there. Like, it's kind of close to that. Anyway, there's a bunch of cities next to each other, going from like Stuttgart to Frankfurt, right? And we decide to get off the train onto the platform and then run until we get to the car with the bathroom that we were looking for. So we do exactly that. We get out of the train, we get onto the platform, we run, we get into another car, and there is our bathroom that awaits us. So we go there, we take a piss, as one does, and we return through the train to our seats. And yeah. Mm. Anyway, after that, we were in Frankfurt, and actually, wait, I think then we went to Cologne on another train, and at this point, I think we actually had to be in the dining car, because all of the other ones were it was really bad that summer. And then finally in Cologne, we got onto another train that went from Cologne all the way to Brussels. And uh obviously, as I said, the Euros were going on. So the European Championship in football. And one of the rare times that Slovenia actually qualified for this very tournament. And we were from Slovenia. So, and while we were on this last train, we were playing Denmark in our first match of the group stage. And we decided to watch the match then and there. And the score at first was 1-0 to Denmark. But I remember that we were on the train and that we saw Slovenia equalize for 1-1. And yeah, we ended up drawing that match, which was very good. And by the end of that tournament, we got to the round 16 for the first time in our history, and then we lost to Portugal on penalties. And then Portugal lost like, wait, who did they lose to? England, maybe, or Spain? No, Spain beat Germany. I can't recall. Anyway, we ended up arriving in Brussels. So that was fun. And we randomly took a 14-hour trip through 4 different countries in one day, and that was definitely better than just going by plane, which would be way cheaper and way faster. But yeah, it's greener, I suppose. So on the way back, we visited a couple more cities. Went to Liège. We didn't really see much. We just were on the train station. We're in Aachen, very historical city. We were at the Frankfurt airport. I remember buying a bratwurst in Frankfurt, and it was good. I liked it a lot. It was very tasty. And we were at the airport for a little bit. Excuse me. And eventually we arrived in Augsburg. And from there, we had a night train back home. And that was the first time in years I'd actually been on a sleeper train. I've been on a sleeper train before when I went from like Slovenia to Serbia, but there are no more lines to go from Slovenia to Serbia. But I've already made a video about this. You should go watch it if you haven't already. You probably haven't already. And yeah, we ended up arriving home. It took 18 hours, I think. I think we started like 2 p.m. on, I don't know what day of the week it was, probably Friday. And then we ended up home at 8 a.m. on Saturday. I visited the European Parliament in Brussels. I think that was kind of cool. And yeah, I ate some waffles. That's a very good experience I have from there. We were in some society's basement, not basement, like cellar, and they gave us waffles, and they were so good. And yeah, that's pretty much all that happened on that trip. And when I was going from the train station home, I just randomly saw some friend of mine that I'd never actually seen before in my city. Friend. He's like an acquaintance, right? Who's from Bosnia and lived in Slovenia at the time. Nowadays he lives in Germany. Uh, and I just randomly saw him on the way home, and that was really funny. And yeah, I ended up home. I was good, and now I'm here. So yeah, that was just like a kind of yapping video. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope someone actually made it to the end of the video. I hope this does well. And yeah, thank you. Goodbye.